Yeah.
Ronald Musina from ENCA, Mr. Malema. It's been 8 long years. Are you feeling a sense of relief now that this matter is coming to a close?
Well, we have closed our case, and arguments have been made in this political trial. Since 1994, there shouldn't have been any trial of this sort. You can see that this is driven by particular motive. And in a normal magistrate court, the magistrate would have passed judgment and say, I will send my reasons later, because matters have been canvassed with for a very long time. And these heads of arguments were submitted to her by December. She had ample time to go through those heads of arguments and formulate some sort of an idea and come and listen to the verbal arguments. But she should be having an idea by now and say, okay, given the following reasons, which I will submit in writing later, I am acquitting or finding them guilty. But you can see clearly that it's a political trial. A lot of maneuvering needs to be done, and they will now decide as to whether they are moving which direction. It's going to be interesting because the state says they've got no evidence, none whatsoever, against accused number 2. And the prosecutor, in his fake 50 years of experience, says that he's not disparate for conviction. He's here to help the court. And he says he did so for accused number 2. But he has never said the accused number 2 is innocent. When he couldn't find him guilty, when he couldn't find him guilty on 2 charges, the prosecutor tried other things outside what the accused number 2 was charged for, which is a sign of a disparate. It's a desperation that there must be a guilty verdict at all costs, because he can't claim that, I know I'm an officer of the court, I'm here to assist the court. When people are innocent, I say they are innocent. Like I said with accused number 2, where did he say that? He's lying. He never said accused number 2 is innocent, because we wouldn't be here if he said accused number 2 is innocent. If he wanted to say that now in reply, he should have said so. He must not create an impression that he said accused number 2 is innocent. He went to town trying to bring in new charges in the closing argument, which is not allowed. And that is a sign of a desperation. The case has crumbled before the magistrate, and the prosecution messed up the case, and they must take full responsibility. But it's always the case. When you pursue politics instead of pursuing the law, whether you like the person or not, you must look at what does the law say, not what are my political feelings or views about this particular individual. That's what makes it a political trial, which comes to an end today and will wait for the judgment.
Now, Mr. Malema, what is your response to basically the state insinuating that the firearm that was handed over could have been tampered with?
Well, there's no evidence led that so-and-so tampered with the firearm, and this is what he did, and where and how. You don't just talk, no, you must say this firearm was tampered with, and here is the evidence. There is no evidence that was presented before this court which proved beyond reasonable doubt that the firearm was tampered with. So the expert argued differently, and it is incorrect to suggest actually that it is possibly accused number 2 who changed or tampered with the firearm. And again, a demonstration of a desperation by the prosecutor to find something on accused number 2, because there is really nothing. The accused number 2, the firearm they are talking about, belongs to his company, but he's not responsible for issuing the firearms to the security personnel. They said the person who was responsible was someone else. and handed over the firearm to Mabunda. But still, they keep on insisting. The evidence of the police that this is a person who's responsible for issuing firearms. The firearm was issued to Mabunda. No evidence has been led that accused number 2 is the one who issued the firearm, or he's responsible for issuing firearms, or he brought the firearm to East London. Equally, Mabunda, the reason why he's not called, he says to them, the firearm in question was not in East London. He actually cooperated by volunteering the firearm himself. Now, he comes here, the prosecutor says Mabunda was going to be a hostile witness and waste of state resources. How can you be hostile when you, on your own, you hear they're looking for this firearm? You go and say, yes, the firearm you're looking for. It was never in East London, it was in Joburg, and all of that. That's the most cooperative man. So how does Mabunda demonstrate that the firearm was not in East London? He gives them a ticket of SAA that I flew to East London and I used SAA. And in the SAA, rifles are not allowed. Here's my ticket. So he produces an evidence. They realize, yes, this one is going to be useless. Then they leave him out. Because he can demonstrate, I received the firearm in question, I left it in Joburg, reason being that I was flying to East London. Here's my ticket. Or you can even go to SAA, those records are there. Then they leave him out. Why? We don't seek the truth. We seek political persecution of an individual. And that is not law. That ended in 1994. It's not supposed to continue under the democratic dispensation.
Mr. Malema, on a slightly different matter, sir. Should the DA walk out of the GNU? Is the EFF interested there? And what's your comment on the latest developments regarding Morocco?
Well, the GNU is an issue that we'll debate on a separate day because we must look at this development very closely. Today, we are awaiting President's response because we wrote a legal letter to him asking him to withdraw the appointment of Kachalia as acting minister because it's not allowed. The constitution is very clear. You appoint an acting minister from amongst cabinet colleagues. That's why you can't even appoint a deputy minister as an acting minister because he's not a cabinet member, whereas with someone from outside. So that alone is out. And if he doesn't respond positively, we're going to take him directly to the Constitutional Court because we didn't want to jump the gun. We wanted to give him an opportunity to reconsider his decisions. If he continues in the manner he wants to continue, that makes him a constitutional delinquent. And we might have to consider those issues at a later stage when we deal with these matters of the GNU. It's for the DA to decide whether they want to walk out of the GNU or not. But our stance is very clear. We can't go into coalition with the DA. On Morocco, that was a complete sellout position. Now there is maneuvering. They are not longer emphasizing their party position on Morocco. They are saying, no, a former head of state can visit any country and have interactions with those people. No one is questioning that. We're questioning his position and that of his party in relation to Morocco. We are very clear. We are for the people of Western Sahara, and we must make sure that they too realize their freedom in their lifetime. Thank you.